Hey everybody, hope everybody's having a good week. So here's an update on the 300 I'm building for the Nonamenationals. Big Dog's porting has my dual port Offenhauser intake that they're porting and milling the plenum out on, and I've decided that intake is actually going to go on my blue and white van because the one barrel on it's totally wore out, and it's already got a mild cam in it, and it was rebuilt at some point, and it runs pretty good. And I'm going to put that intake on it with the Holley 500 CFM 2 barrel I was planning on that blue and white van. That ought to run pretty good for a around town cruiser, because that'll probably add 20 to 30 horsepower over that one barrel in the factory intake that's on it. I went ahead and ordered a brand new C Series Offenhauser, which they advertise as a single plane. It does have a small divider in it here that actually runs lengthwise to about here, and you can barely see it, but it actually ends halfway to that port, second from the last. That's probably for fuel distribution. I planned on running a water plate on it, which oddly Offenhauser says this on their intake, yet everybody uses a water plate to heat the plenum for better fuel atomization. The other reason I'm doing this is this engine is going to have around 10 to 1 static. The camshaft is 235 degrees of duration at 50, which is fairly large for a 300-inch 6. And it has 470 lift with a factory rocker arm ratio. It's on a 109. I'd say it's a fairly radical engine. That's not that big for something, in the 400 cubic inch range, but a 300 inline 6 is fairly large. And the issue I had before with the dual port was the direction that it mounts the carburetor. That's great for the Holley 2 barrel that's going to go on my blue and white one. It'll fit great because it centers the carburetor up and you have plenty of room, because the issue you have on a 300, all this is on the passenger side of the engine, and where the intake is in a van, almost dead center of this is where the flange is on the body for the seal that goes between the doghouse and the actual engine tunnel. And you have a couple of inches. If you look back at my community thing, you'll see all the measurements I did showing how much room you'll have from the edge of the intake over. With the C Series, you actually have a little more room, because see the way this flange is oriented? On the dual port, it's oriented the other way, and so actually the edges protrude just a little more. The C Series is meant to mount the carburetor in line, which even without a spacer, I'll have to trim just a little bit off the bottom of the linkage deal on the side of the carburetor, which isn't a big deal. I don't need that, because I'm really wanting to run a kickdown linkage and stuff, because it's got a C6 automatic, and I like just being able to give it gas and have passing gear. Mounting the carburetor in line solves a lot of the issues. You probably remember the pictures I showed of the Holley on the dual port. The bowls hang way over and it won't clear the body. And so I've heard of some van guys actually cutting a hole in that area and putting a cap over it, and I really don't want to do that. It just seems kind of a waste. So here's my C Series single plane, and actually it fits better with a Holley. Here, I got a Carter right here. So here's an old Carter AFB. Put that on, line it up. Problem with the AFB is, look at the secondary linkage that hangs off the side of it. So that won't work. It's not going to have enough space for that. Good carburetor, but not enough space. The Holley, on the other hand, we're getting somewhere. So here's an old 4160 I had back there. As you can see, the bowls, we're not going to have a problem with that as far as clearance. The problem you do have, though, is the electric choke and the vacuum secondary pot. But seeing as this thing's going to have a 2500 RPM or greater torque converter, probably more close to 3000, and having a water plate on the plenum, it's not going to be that cold-natured, so I'm probably going to order a specific carburetor for this. I am so the looser converter and stuff will allow me probably to get away with a mechanical secondary carburetor. So I'm planning to get a 650 CFM, no choke, mechanical secondary, more like a drag race carburetor. I've been looking at a Proform 650, a couple others. I'm not wanting to spend $1,000, but you know, I'll do what I have to do, because I feel like this engine, with the amount of camshaft and compression, has the potential to potentially make 1 horsepower per cubic inch, and I'm just not going to do that with the 2-barrel. I have to have enough carburetor and to support that. And if they made a mechanical secondary chokeless 390 CFM that wasn't set up for a tunnel ram, that'd be cool. But a 390 even, I think, is a bit small. I feel like this engine's going to want between 480 and 500 CFM. But a 650 is about as low as you can go on that. As to my knowledge, I don't think they make a 450 that's mechanical secondary with no choke, but I will look. But a 650 shouldn't be that bad. I mean, I've put 650s on 302 Fords before, and they're not overcarbureted, so it should be fine. But that is what I'm planning to do. I'm going to do a chokeless mechanical secondary 650 because it'll eliminate everything on the side of the carburetor over here. And I'm going to have several inches of room between the doghouse and body. I'll have plenty of carburetor, plenty of intake manifold, and hopefully maximum power potential. So I'm not wanting to show up like a chump to the Nonamenationals and run slower than my Astro did last year. I would really like to run high 9s. I think that would be hilarious for an inline 6 cargo van, but we shall see. But that's my update for now. I will be posting another video this week. Y'all take it easy, and I'll see you later.